record so I don't forget. Good. Done. Great. Did that. All right. So I've been so jazzed because I'm coming on and I'm doing these calls with Ari. We've been doing these like weekly calls. Some of you seen them. Some of you were there. Some of you watched the recordings. Great. Excellent. That's good. That's full participation. You guys are playing full out. I love it. So on these calls, everyone's saying things like, oh, this was like a light bulb moment for me. I'm so inspired. I'm so impressed with the community. I'm impressed with you guys, and with what I'm learning. So that's awesome. I feel like that is such a revolutionary, refreshing thing that we can come into a group of people, total strangers who live all over the world, Phoenix, Arizona, Dublin, Ireland, California, Chile, Paris, Cologne, Germany. It's amazing. And we're all together. We all speak the same language, which is we want to figure out how to express ourselves and how to get paid for it, okay? That is a great pursuit. That is a great thing to strive to do. So today we're going to answer some questions. We're going to listen to a few songs, and we're also going to talk more about licensing and all of those incredible things. So let me give you a little bit of an update. So what's exciting about sync licensing is that what you do is you set yourself up to proactively solve problems. That's what the headspace I'm trying to get you guys in, right? So you proactively set yourself up to solve problems. So what happens is you're creating these songs. You're creating your goal, right? You want to think about this like a savings account, okay? Your goal is to keep putting $1 in there every day, right? And so how do you create this savings account? You create the savings account by making a catalog of songs that are a good investment, meaning you're going to spend your time deliberately making sure you're working not just hard, but smart. It's more important to work smart than work hard. So what does that mean? It means that you're going to carve out time to go to the studio. And by the way, we have to discipline ourselves to making the time, right? We have to make the time. So what does that mean? That means we have to ask ourselves, okay, what time do we have, right? And again, we're done with the blame game. We're done with excuses. I have 3 kids. I've always done like 15 things at one time. So it's just about being smart and prioritizing things. Maybe we don't get to watch Game of Thrones every single week at the same time. Maybe we do if we're lucky, right? But we need to set aside the time. So that just has to be a non-negotiable. One of the things I want you to get in start thinking about is we have to accept, okay? We have to accept that the life that we have right now, however it is, however it looks, we help create that to be the way it is, okay? Because we tolerate certain things. So the best thing that we can do is start to raise our standards. We have to raise our standards. So with your creativity, the thing that's going to get you guys carving out that time and making that bank account of investment, and when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about creating a catalog of solid music that you think, at least for my portion of this. With Ari, you're going to talk about everything else. You're going to talk about streaming, and you're going to talk about digital downloads, and you're going to talk about college tours. But with me, we're going to talk about sync licensing. So we need to have it in mind that we're just not going to tolerate having those excuses to not having those songs done. We have to just make that a choice. And so we're going to need to figure it out. Like with me right now, I host a podcast. I'm writing a book. I have 3 courses that I'm teaching. And I'm running an agency, and we're actually getting stuff placed. And I'm writing my own music for projects. And then I have these 3 kids, right, who I see quite often. So it's a matter of being smart, and I have to make the time, right? I have to make the time. The time's just not going to come. But I will make it happen. Like when I know I have a podcast due, right, it has to be uploaded every Sunday night because that podcast is going to come out every Monday because we have advertisers who've paid. So that podcast has to come out. It gets done. It gets done. So maybe I'm a little bit of a workaholic and I don't have weekends, or maybe it's, I don't watch any television because I don't. But I just make sure I get it done, and it's very fulfilling. It's very satisfying, but I have to make it happen. And so I don't sleep very much, and I'm a little tired, but I'm happy. So that's the trade-off. Okay. So what I'm saying is we want to make a catalog. Okay, we want to make a catalog. So if I was you right now, and why I was you, I am, we speak the same language, but I was here where you are at one time. So what I did is I got it in my head. I got this certainty in my head. This certainty is powerful. Okay, when you have this certainty about what other artists have done with their sync. Now, this is not a theory. This is not a guess. This is a tangible reality. When you start to, I mean, like this article about me in Billboard, there's a few that have been written about in a few magazines. It talks about how much money I've made, okay? So it's a real thing. It's a fact. It's not fake news. Okay, so if it's real and you have certainty that artists have made 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, what do you have to do to crack that code? Because it's happening every day. Now, the update I was going to tell you is a song of mine called I'll Be By Your Side. It's like this cute, actually, I played it at the end of my podcast, which is up today. And I'll post it in the group too, because it'll be helpful to think about how does that song effectively communicate all the things that I tell you that go into sync? Well, first of all, it's called I'll Be By Your Side. Songs about togetherness come up all the time. So that's one thing. But the reason I bring it up is because we just licensed it. This past week to a national brand, and I'll be able to tell you the specifics once it airs. But it's a national ad, and we're talking about $30,000. Okay, $30,000. And I've already licensed that song to a promo, and that was about $6,000. Okay, the same song. So imagine if someone told you that you're going to spend the day doing something you love, writing a song, clapping your hands, recording some fun instruments, singing, and you're going to make $36,000. Would that be a good way to spend the day? Is that a good use of time? Yes, it is. Okay, so we need to just figure out what the hell am I doing that makes that happen? So if I did that one time, then maybe I'm lucky, and maybe I just have nothing to say. I just got lucky. The stars aligned, the solar eclipse aligned, and something worked out. But if I do that over and over and over again, maybe it's not luck. Maybe it's the ability to strategize, pull things apart, analyze it, and then go back into the studio, have a lot of fun, because that's part of the analyzing, is you walk away hearing the people whose songs get used. You can tell there's authenticity to it. So that having fun and it being real and it being a blast, that is part of what you take away. But then, what are they directing their energy to do? And that's what we need to keep talking about. So this song, I'll Be By Your Side, first of all, it's one of the main themes that I talk to you guys about all the time. So how many songs do I have written about togetherness and platonic togetherness? Probably 14 solid good songs. How many have I written? Probably 30. How many of the 30 do I love that are about togetherness? Probably like 14. So when we get a search from Pepsi, when we get a search from Target, when we get a search about togetherness, we've got tons of stuff to send. And I don't just write those songs. I tell the artists that we signed to write those songs. So ask yourself to go down the list of themes and to keep adding more themes. I'm going to give you a new assignment today, okay? I gave you guys an assignment. By the way, I'm impressed. A lot of people did it. One of the assignments was to add your 2 cents to a Google Doc. Did you guys check this out? Did you guys see it? Yes? No? Yes. Good. So this Google Doc is crazy, okay, if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, it's still crazy. I'll tell you why. Because when I first started out, I didn't even know the questions to ask, let alone have the information. This Google Doc is a series of people who took their time to ask the question and come up with some answers. Question being, what show is supervised by what person, and what kinds of songs are being used on that show, and what else do I know about this music supervisor, or what else do I know about the songs that are being used? So people have collectively in this group come together and created this Google Doc, and it has great information on it. It shows you, here's the name of the show, here's the network it's on, here's the person music supervising it, and about 60% of them have email addresses. People have found email addresses. That's killer. That's a great resource, okay? Now the trick is, when do you start to send those songs in? You start to send those songs in once you feel the song is fantastic, okay? So the way it gets to be fantastic is you send them stuff that they need, meaning you go through the list of themes. So your new assignment for next month's call, I want you guys to make a Google Doc of themes beyond the ones that I gave you, okay, we have a sheet that says like female empowerment, home, togetherness, hero, let's go. There's a bunch of those. What else are you hearing, okay? And if you don't have a new theme to add, what can you post in the Google Doc as evidence of that theme? That would be awesome. Can people start posting, if you love the idea of the theme of home, or you love the idea of togetherness or platonic friend, whatever it is, can you start to put into that Google Doc YouTube links to ads or TV show clips where you heard those themes? Because here's what I really want you to start to do. The more you pour over yourself this certainty of this, what I'm saying, and you see it with your own two eyes, you see and you hear these kinds of songs being used, and then you hear from us and you start doing research. If you start to Google sync licensing and indie bands and how much of indie bands made, you're gonna see tons of examples from Christina Perri to American authors to Ingrid Michaelson to Regina Spektor, and you're gonna start to see people and dollars and amounts of money that people have made for licensing their songs. I actually read an article once that song, Brighter Than the Sun by Colby Calais, Brighter Than the Sun, you guys know that song? Love that song, such a feel-good song. She wrote that song with, does anyone know? Ryan Tedder. Okay, so anyway, Ryan Tedder, One Republic, the band One Republic is insane when it comes to music licensing. If you wanna look at themes, if you wanna look at songs that get used all the time, they have a way of writing songs where everything is a universal hook. Go through the list. Go through the list of their singles. It's crazy. They're all these epic, universal, anthemic ideas. They're not these breakup songs. They're just take it out. Check it out. Also, fun fact: Tim Myers, who I talk about all the time as being a sync licensing, he's like a king when it comes to sync licensing. He was in the band One Republic. Interesting. He left to just focus his career on writing for Sing, so he didn't have to tour and whatever. But there's something about that band that's insane, especially when it comes to writing for licensing. And he wrote Brighter Than the Sun with Colby Calais, Ryan Tedder. Why am I bringing it up? Because I read an article a few years ago when that song was like in its like peak, that it was the most licensed song for the decade. Why? Well, it's called Brighter Than the Sun. So here's what I want you to understand. That really fits what we're talking about. Now, here's something important. People say to me, what if I don't write happy songs? I just can't. I'm a depressed, miserable soul. I'm just kidding. No, what if I'm just the kind of person, I just can't jump up and down and clap my hands? That's fine. There's tons of shows that Cathy Heller will never license a song to because I don't have that grim, sleepy hollow, scary Deadpool, like that's not me. That's fine. There's a lot of that work out there, okay? But one thing that I think is interesting is that most people, I would say most people don't have tons of uplifting songs. That's just the way it usually goes. Most artists equate sadness and melancholy and despair with art somehow. Like if you look at the painters, all the impressionists, a lot of it is like sadness, okay? And that's kind of the way I think people started thinking about art, you know, like tragedies and Shakespeare and things that are, you know, intense. So I think one of the reasons why Brighter Than the Sun was the most licensed song for that decade is because it's hard to find really feel-good, awesome songs, okay? But most movies and most shows end that 30-minute episode with an uplifting moment, right? You remember at the end of Punky Brewster and her dad would be like, well, that's one to grow on. Here we go. Let's go to sleep. Everything's perfect. I know you jumped out the window and you tried to kill your dog, but everything worked out. Let's have some milk and cookies. So that's usually what happens at the end of the episode. And at the end of the movie, it's like that song from Zootopia, Try Everything, that Shakira song. You guys know that song? I have a mix, by the way. I have a mix in my car, and you can tell because I don't do drugs, and I'm always like this. And it's probably because of the mix that's in my car. So I'm constantly creating new mixes, and I'm downloading songs that are end titles. I'm downloading songs that are in these ads. Most ads are gonna lift you up because most advertisers would like you to feel happy when you associate yourself with their product, okay? So you can write sad songs because there's so many cool ways to write haunting, interesting things that would have such a life in promos and trailers and movies and TV shows. But for ads, we need to think about, even if it's hard to access, there's gotta be 10 moments in your life where if you closed your eyes and thought about moments where you felt so grateful to be there, so happy to smell and breathe in whatever the air was like, whatever you were seeing, whatever you were tasting, whether it was your wedding day or the moment you went hiking in Yosemite or that trip you took to Ireland. There's got to be moments where you like stood on the edge of the world and you looked out and you felt that feeling. We need to crack that a little bit because for advertising and for sync, people aren't going down that road so much. The road most people take is the typical road of, this is what made me feel down. This is why I feel despair. Because most people don't feel super happy and charged all the time. So most people just wouldn't write those kinds of songs. So I think writing with that in mind a little bit is good. And I also write songs about things that make me feel hopeless and scared. I write those songs. And those songs do get licensed to TV shows, but not to ads. And the ads that I've done have paid, they paid the mortgage. So it's good to think about that a little bit, just as far as strategy goes. If you were an investment banker, you would tell your client, you should diversify your funds, put some of it in stocks, some of it in real estate. So you should put some of it into the stuff you love to write, whatever it is. And you should put some of it into really trying to get back to that moment when you felt on top of the world and try to really dial that in. But it's gotta be authentic, and it's not going to mean that just because you write a song that's happy, it's going to be a great song. It might be a happy song that's just not yet great because it takes massaging that out. If I played for you the first 3 years of music that I was writing in LA, you wouldn't believe that I had a career. But like Ari said on the last group call we did last week, when I was in Newport Beach, we did a call. I was outside on the beautiful balcony. I could write a song about how that felt to be out there on the ocean. Anyway, he said, Ed Sheeran said that writing songs is like turning on a faucet that hasn't been turned on in a while. So you turn it on and first you get like the sludgy brown water and you keep that faucet running. That's the trick. And the water gets clearer and better and it tastes better and it's brighter. And that's what it is for everyone. So to set yourself up and think that the only way to be successful is to immediately get results. And if you don't, that means you need to move on. That is setting ourselves up to fail. We need to be in this for the long play, okay? And that means we just commit. I heard Will Smith saying, I said this in my modules, but it's so effective. It's like if you get on the treadmill next to somebody else, you can't control if you're the person in the best shape, but you could control if you're the one who stays on the longest, okay? So I did a podcast episode where I interviewed this guy who's an animator from Disney. He finally got to the big corner office at Disney and he worked on Pocahontas and Punchback and all these big movies. But at first he was this kid who could barely draw, who wanted to get into art school, and he finally gets in, and then he couldn't get into Disney the first time, but he finally got into Disney like the third time, and then he finally became, Saul Blinkoff, somebody just posted, in the chat. So he said that the best advice he ever got is that his teacher said, you will not be able to control if you have the best figure drawing. You cannot control if you were given the best genes for this craft because somebody else might have already had that. But you can say to yourself before you go to sleep, did anyone else work harder than me today? Did I work the hardest? Did I work the hardest? Now, what does that mean? You can't also know that, but what you can know is that you did your personal best. See, what people think is they love to point to people who've had success in music or whatever it is and say they were lucky, they had a better dad, they lived in a better city, they had more money. It's all not true. The only thing that we can say is they worked really hard, because that's like saying somebody else was just given some magic formula that other people don't get. But then we look at people like Oprah, who was like, grew up totally impoverished, was raped. Like, how did she become the most successful woman in the world? Because she hustled. So it doesn't make sense to look and say that. So what we need to do is we need to start, this is what I want to get you in the headspace. The long play here for this year is you want to start looking, breaking this down. And by the end of the year, you want to have carved out a work ethic for yourself. You want to have committed so that it's not uncomfortable anymore to be creative. You just make that part of your life. That's number one. One of the ways that you're going to be able to be creative more consistently and to discipline yourself to do it is to stop being so hard on yourself when you're creative. It is the worst thing for your creativity if while you're sitting down to write a song and you're playing chords and you're writing lyrics, if you're also beating yourself up, berating yourself, that's not great, oh, forget it. You're going to lose steam so fast. So you have to be willing to tolerate opening that faucet and tolerating some of that brown water because everyone's got it. And every time you want to move to the next level, even if you're already great at melody or even if you're already, whatever it is, anything new, it's a learning curve. My first baby, I have 3 now. The first kid, it was like a train hit me, not anywhere, but hit me in the face. Like that's how it felt. I didn't know what people were talking about. Everyone's like, oh, you're going to have a kid, you have a baby shower, have a pink blanket. It's going to be awesome. It was awful. I felt like I was turned upside down and someone was shaking me and I couldn't see the earth and it was horrible. So I've learned, right? So my third kid, I'm like, I got this. Had a third kid, started a podcast 2 weeks later, running 3 courses, making hundreds of thousands of dollars, being the primary breadwinner. Fine. No problem. Learning curve though, right? Major learning curve with the first kid. Second kid also, but then it just gets easier. You give people more stuff and we figure it out. So everyone's got it. I've got it at every time. There's always my next hurdle. Now I'm like working on another 15 things that I'm trying to figure out. I'm writing a book and it's a lot of learning curves, but it's awesome because growth is oxygen. So what I want to do today, I want to do some Q&A. I want to talk to you guys. I want to hear your questions. I want to hear your concerns, all that stuff. And then I want to play some songs. The audio isn't always awesome when I play it through the computer, but at least you'll know that I hear it. And we'll figure it out. So anyway, the point I wanted to make about the song, the last point I wanted to make is the song I'll Be By Your Side is a song that I wrote in 2014. And that was my point, is that, yes, it was licensed once, that maybe the next year for like $6,000. So that already paid back, the hours we invested and the studio time. But my point is that you prepare ahead of time, you have the answer in hand before the question is asked. So if you start to create over this year a catalog of songs that meet all of those themes, and you don't just write one song, you stay in it. So you write 3 songs on each theme so that your third one is the best, or maybe your second one is the best, but you really work on it, meaning that the goal is to have at least a few awesome songs for every theme. It's like a no-brainer. Like you will get those songs licensed because you will be preparing, you'll be creating this catalog. This will be the investment that it will pay off. And that's what happens with me is like the song Heart of a Hero, which was just on Younger. Again, listen to the theme, Heart of a Hero. So that was definitely deliberately titled, right? It's like a song that could be an anthemic sort of, you can do this, like a fight song, like a Katy Perry roar. So that song I wrote 2 years ago, and that song was just in this show, and it was in a couple other things over the last couple years. It was at the end of this movie. But that's the point, is we want to set ourselves up. Now, some people look at me and say, oh, you just got lucky. It's like, no, like I deliberately went to the studio every single time I've been to the studio in the last 10 years, and I went with notes in hand. I went with ideas in hand that I thought would solve the problem for a music supervisor. And I did it over and over and over until while I was doing that, the song not only met those markers, but actually became a good song. Because just because you have a song about sunshine and it has hand claps, it doesn't mean it's great. It just means, okay, so you're flexing the muscle. It's like if I teach you how to go, you know, up on point and you're in your toe shoes, it doesn't make you a prima ballerina. It just means you're working it out. You're, okay, you got the toe shoes, you know how to get up on releve. Doesn't mean you're graceful, just means you're doing it. So we want to work on these songs, knowing what the recipe is. And I think this class is an amazing, I love it. And I don't just love it because it's like, oh, this was my idea. I love it because of you guys. Like, that's the component which I had no control over, didn't know, met these amazing souls. Everybody is fully present, engaged, supportive, helpful, all that stuff. So, well, while we have this year, while you're investing this time, let's make the most of it. So I would give yourself like a sort of a map over the next 12 months. And I would say, at the end of this, I want to be here. You know, like on a map, it says you are here. So if you want to be here, what does here look like? If it was me, here would look like at least 12 songs at the end of a year. And if not, 24 songs. So if I want to be here, it says you are here and I want to get to here. The here would be at the end of this climb, I want to be ready for that next climb. And what I want to have with me in hand is at least 12 awesome songs that proactively came from me knowing what are things that people are looking for. And I want to write with people who are in this class who really get it. Because if I do co-writes with someone outside of this class, that's fine. But I would want to have at least 12 done and recorded with people in the class. Why? Because somebody in the class is coming with the same passion and the same goal. You know, they say soulmates are goalmates. Why is that? Because if you marry somebody who wants to go this way and you want to go that way, that's not so helpful. But if you marry someone who's got the same point destination in mind, you can help each other get there. So when someone else you co-write with in this class is also thinking, when you throw out in the line, well, is that too on the nose? Well, does that actually help meet the theme? Well, that's your reference. Okay, what show are you using? That's what song has been played that's similar to that, and in the project that we're going for. You see what I'm saying? You're going to help each other get to that point. So that would be the idea, is working on those songs. And I asked you guys to set up a co-write. And how many of you did that? Just say yes. Did it? Good. I love it. Okay, good. So the whole thing here, the reason I wanted to teach this, and I started this, I guess, a couple of years ago, talking about sync licensing, is because I want to help artists eat lunch. I want to help artists buy clothes and jewelry and Snapple. You know, it's like, I don't just want to help you sing and play a show. I want you to make money, because if artists make money, we can make more art. Okay, so that's really what I want to see happen. So when I'm talking to you about, you know, advertising, it's not because your whole platform should be advertising. That's why we teamed up with Ari too, to talk about just a holistic approach to releasing an album and all that other stuff. And believe me, I write other songs, like this song for Younger. We just placed 4 songs in Younger. In fact, 2 of them were from artists that started in my class 2 years ago, Chase Rosner and Maggie Sadsbo, who we not only had in our class, but then we signed from the class and came full circle, just got them each a placement. So they made back 6 times what they spent on the class, and then not only got back their money's worth, but they learned something. It's like, you're going to teach somebody, what do they say? Like, don't give someone fish, teach them how to fish. We taught them how to fish. That's awesome. But that's why we're talking about Brighter Than the Sun, songs like I'll Be By Your Side. It's just a good idea. It's like, if you want to eat, think about all the people, you know, on the highway, and then take the HOV lane. Like, take the lane that's a little less traveled, because it's going to allow for more opportunities. So I want you guys, that's the assignment. I want you guys by next month, I will have Sonnet post a Google Doc, and I want you guys to start posting examples of themes and the links to themes. So we'll put in there like home and togetherness and let's go and love, or whatever it is, and start putting them in there. So yeah, okay, now what I want to do is, I'm going to look at the chat, and I want to, do you guys know how to do the raise your hand thing on here? Do you know how to raise your hand? because there's a little way to do it. Oh, Fred just figured it out. Nice. Here, Fred, I'm going to unmute you. Tell everybody how to do that. How did you raise your hand?
It's a little difficult because I have the German version of the site.
Oh, no. Oh, wait. So, Tamara, you just did it. Oh, Jody just did it. Jesse just did it.
I've got this field that says something like members. And when I click on it with the mouse, I can raise my hand.
Yeah.
There should be three dots in the lower right-hand corner that says more. Click on the more button and then click on raise hand.
Sweet. See, I don't have it because I'm the host, so they don't want me to raise my hand because they just want me to talk to you. So that's cool. All right, awesome. So what I'm going to do is, what I want you to do is I want you to raise your hand if you have a question, and then I can unmute you and you can talk to me. So I see a bunch of people with raised hands. Is that because you were practicing it, or is that because you have a question? Do you have a question?
Practice.
You're just practicing? Okay, so lower your hands, and then if you have a question, raise it. And then I'll come around and talk to you. Okay, so Kat, your hand is still raised. What's going on? Talk to me.
Hi, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I was wondering about licensing cover songs. If you have any advice with that. Most of the licensing agencies I've talked to don't sign cover songs, and because just as they aren't like the songwriters, they want writers as opposed to people doing covers. So I wanted to hear your opinions of what to do with them.
Okay, nice. First of all, yes, we work with cover songs. In fact, do you guys, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Do you guys know who Chop Shop is? You know who Chop Shop is? Yeah, see, you're doing your research. That's awesome. Okay, so we work with, I was going to say the ladies at Chop Shop. There's a couple guys there, but it's mostly a nice group of women. So we got a search from them last week that had to do with cover songs. So we needed cover songs, and they were from a specific era. But we need those, definitely need those from time to time. So yes, I mean, is the question just yes or no? It's definitely yes.
Okay, yeah, awesome. The question is just kind of how to present them, because I do hear some people need them, but a lot of agencies are like, no, you have to have written the song. So yeah, just kind of where to shoot them. I've also talked to some people who say to contact the publisher of the original writers of the songs and kind of share it with them.
No, you don't have to do that. That's their job. Like if you cover Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls or whatever, and you send that to me, and let's say it's perfect for an ad, and I submit that, the music supervisor just needs to know your portion of it, which would be that you own the master, or maybe you co-own the master, or whatever. And then he or she is going to go find out who owns the publishing, and they're going to deal with that. So that's not your job. What we do is we have like we have a cover of Walking on Sunshine, and that's a great cover, by the way, because again, often they need one of these like really upbeat songs, and often people try, but they just can't make a great upbeat song. Like I'm telling you, it's actually, somebody once said like simple is hard. It's harder to be happy. I swear, I've heard comedians say this and people give them a bad rap, but it is harder to make someone laugh than to make someone cry. So the song Walking on Sunshine, it was a good idea. We covered it, and it wasn't me, it was one of the bands that we rep. They did a great job covering it too. It was like a little bit of a twist on it. And God, every time I say it, I feel like I have to sing it. It's just such a good song. Anyway, so we pitched it for a show to Neophonic. Neophonic was the music supervisor. They're a group that they do crazy stuff. And they dealt with it, and they called the publisher, and they figured it out. So it turned out actually that the publishing was too expensive for that particular budget for that show, because they had $8,000 and they just didn't want to do it. So it just comes down to the budget of the project. If it was an ad and the ad agency, let's say had $150,000, maybe they would have gone ahead and done it. But no, it's not your job. I think it's a great thing to have covers. I think what's really cool is reimagined covers. Like we had the guys from Team One who do the Lexus ads. We had them live in person at these SyncKeeper events that I host. And they said that they licensed a great cover of Lauryn Hill, Ready or Not, Here I Come, you know that song? I'm gonna find you. But it was like it was a choir of these girls, these like Dutch girls singing Ready or Not. I mean, it was like super spooky, and they used it in like a trailer for a video game. I love covers that turn things on their head. I think it's crazy awesome. I just heard a cover of a Billy Idol song. It was in there was this movie called like Long Walk, Billy's Long Walk into, I don't know, it was like a movie about like this army kid. I don't remember. But anyway, they used a cover of, I don't know if it was Major Tom. I don't remember which one it was, but it was like a spooky version of it with a choir. It was amazing. Anyways, I would write some covers. You don't have to write everything, but definitely I would have, let's say, a third covers and 2/3 music that you write. And you don't have to contact the publisher.
Super. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. More questions. Aaron, what's up?
Hey, how are you? Hey, everybody. Okay, so you said earlier you don't watch much TV. And so I was like actually really happy to hear you say that, because I've sort of felt like as I've been going through this, because I love the TV licensing world too, that, man, I should really be like hip to all the shows and their vibe and all that stuff. And I'm kind of feeling like I'm getting some good stuff just by doing the research and looking at the different supervisors, what their stuff kind of sounds like and all that. I mean, is that enough? That's my question. It's like, or yeah,
I mean,
it's like,
it's totally enough. I mean,
yeah.
I didn't even watch the episodes of Younger that my songs were in. Like,
Right.
I've never watched the show beforehand, and then didn't even watch it when. I mean, I feel like that's kind of makes me feel like a baller, because like I used to like my songs in One Tree Hill. I've watched the whole up. Now I don't even watch it because that's cool. It happens like a lot. I don't watch it, but.
Yeah.
Somebody posted, one of the fans of Hillary Duff posted the end of the episode, so I got to see like the song played, and I was like, that's cool. And people told me it's a really fun show, but no, I mean, I feel like I consume so much content like this. Like, there is so much content out there. I don't think you need to watch these TV shows. What are you going to just start watching every show? Like, you'll have no time to be creative. I think you're doing exactly enough. I think most people don't do that even. I think what most people do is they do none of the research. They don't have any map. They don't have any sense of what people need or what project they're writing for. They don't know where the goal is. Like, you're playing soccer, you have no idea where the goal is. You're doing it with a blindfold. And what most people are doing is they're running out to the soccer field, not having any clue where the players are, where the goals are. They're just going in the studio, writing some song about something, not having any sense of like the groove or the title or the tempo or what the song should be about or how it should move cinematically. Nothing. And then they get so frustrated because they do that 1,000 times over 20 years and nothing happens, and they go, I don't get it. It's like, just because it's your art doesn't mean you don't need to be focused and directed. I think once you have goals and boundaries, you can play better soccer. It's like, now I'm in the field, I know what the rules are, I know where I'm supposed to shoot. I can be bend it like Beckham, because I know what I'm doing. If I don't have any goals or direction, I'm just going to kick this ball around, and eventually I'm going to get tired of that. You know, the reason that they get inspired on the soccer field is because they know exactly what they're supposed to do. If I took that away from them and said, can you just kick the ball for like 14 hours a day? They'd be like, that's so stressful. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it. And artists, they just get so convinced that if they have goals and they have boundaries, they're not going to, be inspired. But then what do you say to people like Ben Platt, who just won the Tony for Best Actor? Like, he definitely had a structure. He knew when he'd be at rehearsal. He knew how he was supposed to dress. He knew what lines he was supposed to say, which allowed him to then take his talent and his vessel and pour it through that part, because he didn't have to be constantly also inspiring himself and knowing what his directive was. So that is exactly what you should be doing. Just do some of that research. You're 14,000 steps ahead of everyone else, because you're at least thinking about that and asking those questions. So no, you don't have to watch every show. just do the research, and actually watching the show would be a waste of time because you're not interested in the whole show. You're interested in what songs are being used and how are those songs structured. So let me spend, instead of 30 minutes watching an episode, let me spend 30 minutes listening to 6 songs and breaking them down.
So it's with brands, with the advertising world, it's like they do have a specific like feel to them a lot of times, because like Harley Davidson is different than Target. So like I was just feeling like the difference between, you know, a sci-fi show and a show that's on the Hallmark Channel, you know, getting the vibe right for some of those things if you're targeting it. But yeah, you don't need to watch it. You just go find it. So thanks.
No, awesome. Thanks, Aaron. Cool. Awesome. So I'm going to answer another question, and then we're going to try to listen to a couple songs. I know that Sonnet said she had 10 of you sign up, but what I want to do, we don't get a lot of time to like dig in. And so I don't want to spend most of the session listening to songs. I want to spend most of the session talking to you, but we will try to listen to a few. So what I'll do is I'll answer another question, then try to listen to a few songs, then do more, we'll just see how much we can get done. Nico.
Hey, how are you doing?
Hey, I saw your hand up.
Hi, I'm getting so much from this class, and I just had and I love your music. I'm an ambient musician, but I listen to a lot of pop music and a lot of music with a beat. And anyway, my quick question, I actually asked Sonnet this question, and she gave me a great response, but I wanted to run it by you because basically there's this music supervisor that I just feel this instinctive pull to, because I read an interview of him and he was just saying how he's totally into ambient guitar. And that's like his thing. And he named all these bands. And I think I have his email address. And I'm going to run this by, as Sonnet suggested, my licensing agent, because I have like a PR company. They also do licensing. But something instinctively is telling me that at some point I may want to, if I have his correct email, reach out to him. One of his favorite bands is a band that was created by one of my favorite directors, really obscure. It's the kind of thing I might be able to say, I read in this interview that you're into this, and like you're suggesting, but at the same time, I have this trepidation about it. I'm kind of like, who am I? I'm, my debut album, it's not my best material. I have so much better stuff. All these reasons why I shouldn't just reach out with some box links. I mean, I know I'm not the first thing on his radar, but I was just going to maybe title it, ambient guitar, know you're into it, love these things. If you have a minute, it would be awesome if you listen. Maybe this is in your arsenal, whatever. And I just kind of like publicly sharing it. I'm sure there are other people who might have the same feelings about things. It's just like, why would I do this? I'm not my best yet. So just kind of instinctively, normally ask the licensing agent to do it, but it seems like something I might want to try to do myself. So I'm kind of processing this with you.
Oh, I love that. I love that idea. I love that you've done that research. I love that you know that he loves that. And I love that you're bringing this up because this is something that everyone needs to be thinking about. And everyone is thinking what you're thinking. Everyone's thinking that question, who am I? That's such a lousy question. And everyone does that to themselves at any point, no matter where you are in your life. I have crossed that bridge with many things, but I'll have times where I'm interviewing someone really famous on my podcast, and I'll have that thought, who am I to talk to this person? It's like, everyone has that. So first of all, just a quick thought. Who's the supervisor? What's his name?
Brian McNellis at Lakeshore Entertainment. He's done, he's placed like Explosions in the Sky. And
Cool. I don't know him, but I know that company. Okay, look, this is the thing. How long have you been with that licensing agent?
And they're mostly a PR company, and they just started a thing where they're going to be, I signed a contract with them. It's a 50-50 non-exclusive deal. So they'll be pitching my music for a lifetime. They're kind of like a family. They're kind of a fun thing. It's been about 5 months.
Okay.
So we started on.
Okay, cool. Just because we're riffing on stuff, I think 50-50 is too much. That's just my thought.
Okay.
In my agency, we do like 30 to 40, depending on stuff. Mostly it's like 30, 35. But
right.
that's besides the point. The thing is this, just because we have a team, it doesn't mean much, because we have to be the person working the hardest on the team. That's just how it is. Like, every person I know who has a licensing agent or a manager and then says, well, that's when I put my feet up and I just waited. It's like, that is so dangerous. That's why I have resisted having a manager or a licensing agent, because I had them in the beginning and it was like a false sense of security. And I realized that every single day I would wake up, and so would people sitting at their desks who were music supervisors. And the days were passing and the months were passing. And those people were human beings who were alive, who were living in Chicago, LA, New York, Paris, wherever. And they were working on stuff that they needed songs for. And I was waiting on one person to figure out how to send my music to those people. And that was a very frustrating feeling.
Right.
Now, did it help me to have that? Yes, because let's say 30 times a year, maybe twice a month, those people would come up with an opportunity. So that's 2 times in 30 days every month. They would say, oh, here's an opportunity. Do you have a song for this Olive Garden commercial? And that would keep me going, right? So I don't think it's a bad thing to have an agent, because they might land you 1 thing or 2 things or 8 things, which would be awesome. But we have to constantly be asking ourselves the question at the same time, which is why I do my deals. I try to do my deals non-exclusively, unless I have a really special relationship with an artist and I am so certain that I'm going to kill it, that my searches that come in are perfectly aligned. Like with the Highfields, you know, we're doing them 6 figures of business a year. So I just feel like very content, and I know how hard they're working and I know how hard we're working, and it's like a good synergy. So it's an exclusive thing. But I really want everyone to have as many soldiers on the ground as possible. And we have to ask ourselves, every day. It's a simple question, actually. The question is, how am I getting my music placed? How am I getting it licensed? How am I getting it to the right people? It's like, it's a simple thing. You have music, people need it. You have music, you need to make it the kind of music people need, right? It's like, it's a simple equation. People are looking for something. First, it's like, how do you create the right thing? And then how do you break through the noise? So the thing is this, in my life, I've just always been the person to just send that email, even if I feel uncomfortable. It's not like I wait till I feel comfortable. I send it anyway. And sometimes you hit send and you go, oh my God, I get it. Oh my God. And then you just keep going through your life. And what happens is you get comfortable being uncomfortable. And you don't wait to be ready or perfect, because the thing is, even though you're absolutely right, and I think that's a great way to look at it, like, oh, well, you're going to write better songs, you know? It doesn't matter, because this is what you have right now. And what you might do is you might not get your song placed by doing it if you don't think it's perfect, right? But what you might do is create a relationship with that person. What might happen is you might send an email, and we'll talk a little bit about how I send emails and what I do, because I do them very differently than most people. But what if you get a response? And what if in the byline, you also said PS, and you put a picture of your dog, right? And it was like a really cute little puppy. And what if he goes, oh, I have the same kind of dog? And then what if you wrote back a few weeks later and said, here's a new song, and if it's not what you think is perfect, what do you think I could do to make it better? How valuable would his feedback be? I mean, I would say pretty valuable. And so you might, while you were waiting to have a perfect song, you might learn something really important that you needed to like throw in, that he actually says, you know, what we actually needed was this more, or we actually would, or he might actually love it already, or he might just start to become a fan of yours as a human being. And then as you continue to have new music, 3 years later, he goes, that was great. I'm going to place that song. So I wouldn't be allowing our fear to sit at the wheel. That's what happens for most of us. And it's such a waste of the time. So this is why I said at the beginning, we have to raise our standards. We have to say, we have to decide, whatever I did yesterday, the day before, where I allowed any fear to sort of control what I knew I should do, I'm going to decide I'm just raising the standard. I'm just going to raise the standard. Like, I'm not going to tolerate, eating this ice cream. I'm going to eat Haagen-Dazs, and that's all I'm going to eat. So if I'm going to eat the Haagen-Dazs, so I have to stop being afraid of several things. And when you start to get clear, I say to people all the time, I talk about this on my podcast. I say to people, close your eyes and think about where you'll be in 10 years if you don't send those emails. And what will that feel like? And what will your relationships be like? And then close your eyes and think about if you started sending those emails and you started doing more stuff like that, what might happen? And how would you feel, right? Because no one is born just feeling like, of course I should do this. I'm awesome. Like, no one. In fact, the people who are the most arrogant are the most insecure. So no one feels that. And the really humble people don't feel like, of course I should just drop into this person I admire's inbox and send them my stuff. It's okay, but here is a way that you can get around it. So here's something that I do. When I send somebody an email, I think about how it's going to serve them more than myself. So let's say I want to send a song of mine to a music supervisor who doesn't know me, never heard of me. Even if they did, it doesn't really matter. So I would be short and sweet, and I would kind of make the email about them, right? So let's say the whole email, short and sweet, let's say the whole email was like this size. You're looking at the page, like 4 or 5 sentences. I would have 3 of those sentences be about them, 2 of the sentences be about me, and I would make sure that the email had a feel that was very personable and very casual, instead of like, hello, like, something like this. Like, let's say I'm going to email a music supervisor whose name is Allison, and she works on a certain show. And let's say I've been following her on Twitter and Instagram, and I love the show she works on. So I would send her an email, and I would say, hey, Allison, hope you're having a great summer. I have 3 little kids, so it's been, a balancing act for me. But I'm a fan of yours, and I follow you on Instagram, and I loved when you posted this quote, or I love Swedish fish also. I saw you were eating Swedish fish. Whatever it is, something about her. And if you don't follow her on Instagram, maybe you read an article where she had a quote about women and music, or maybe she had an article where she had a quote about indie musicians, whatever it is. Or maybe you just love the last 3 songs that she used in that show. And you say, so I just had to reach out and tell you that I found 3 of my favorite artists because of you. And I loved this song from this episode. Something about something she's doing. It doesn't feel like just a generic email. And then I would say something really not formal. I'd say something like, and I've said this before, like, here's a link to one of my songs. If you were so generous as to click on this and listen, I would probably jump up and down in my kitchen. So, here's a song. And then I would close it out by saying, thanks for continuing to inspire artists like me by supporting other artists like me. And I would maybe put a picture in there of something I talked about, either a quote that's similar to the one I said that she posted on Instagram, or a picture of Swedish fish if I said that she posted those. Or maybe if I said I was a mom of 3 kids, I'd post a picture of like the cutest picture of my baby with like 2 ice cream cones and like the ice cream everywhere and her fat cheeks, something like that. And then I'd be out. And then I would follow up. So I wouldn't follow up the next day or the next week, but I would have it in mind that like every month I was going to reach out, and I would just not give up. And if you're writing these like cute, personalized, short and sweet emails, people eventually go, that's different. Because most of the emails that I get are emails where people say, I listened to your podcast, and now here's 15 paragraphs on my life story and all my issues and what I'm trying to figure out. and I'm wondering if I can meet you for coffee, or I'm wondering if you can write back with some advice, or I'm wondering if you can help me, or do you know what I should brand it or name it? Or it's all about them. And it's really, they really like, that's what's interesting is like, they're afraid to hit send, partly because you know when you're being self-centered. That's the thing. So we don't want to be that way. And that's what I'm saying. You can make it feel easier to hit send because you can make it all about them. When someone sends me an email that says, I just listened to your song on Young, I mean, this was so sweet. I've got a lot of these emails. I just listened to your song on Younger, and one of them was like, my son has heart disease and he's 9. He's already had 4 surgeries, and that song, Heart of a Hero, that is my son. My son has a heart of a hero. Would you come to Chicago and sing at the gala? Because she's part of this, like, it's a program of kids who struggle with heart disease. And I wrote back in about 6 seconds and said, I'll be there. When is it? So she gave me this like huge compliment, then put in the personal aspect of it about her son, and then asked me to do something. And then I said yes. So I've had moments where I've reached out to supervisors and I've said, you know, and I've meant it. Like, people at ABC Primetime, truly, they built this for us. They built this for us. So those music supervisors from those shows at ABC, that's what started all those other shows in terms of like the indie music, everything. So Shonda Rhimes and Alexandra Patsavas and Dawn Soler, who's the head of music at ABC, when I was starting out and I would write an email to her, I would almost cry. And I meant it. I'd be like, you gave me oxygen, because by putting those indie artists like Ingrid Michaelson and all those other people in those shows like Grey's Anatomy, that paved a way that I wouldn't even have a career, because had I not seen that happening, I wouldn't have known it was attainable, and they wouldn't be offering the opportunities that so they started making it cool to license from indie artists, and it really took off. It went nuts. And nobody cared all of a sudden if it was Sarah McLachlan. They just cared that it was a cool indie band like the Lumineers, and they put that in a show. And then that band got signed. So I would write to these people and say, you literally have changed my life, and I'm so grateful. And I read these 4 articles that really spell out how you've created this entire genre of music. I feel like you guys are the real A&R. I feel like you guys should get paid what record label people get paid, because you're the ones I mean, there's so many genuine things you can say that you actually mean if you really think about it. And then I would say, like, you know, these are the bands that I love. This is the songs that I love. Thank you so much. And I would also say something about myself that has nothing to do with music. Like, you know, whatever that's been going on. When I was pregnant, before I had kids, I'd be like, I'm pregnant, and, you know, I'm eating whatever I was eating at the time, you know, I don't know, chocolate ice cream or whatever. But other than that, I'm great. Like, I would just say something personal about myself, because it just changes the flow of the email. And then, you know, here's a song that I wanted to send over. And then a lot of gratitude. Like, if you listen, you know, I might pass out, but I would appreciate you listening anyway. Seeing the fact that I might pass out. Like, there's just a way to send an email where let me just put it this way. I've never in all these years sent an email with a PDF to my Billboard article, with a PDF to my Variety article. I wouldn't send an email that said, hey, I've already been placed in this show and this show and this show and this show. I think you should listen to my music. My music is great. My music, I wouldn't send that kind of email. I would have a hard time pressing send, you know? So if it's all about really making a relationship, just think about how you make a relationship with a pen pal or a person at a restaurant who you just met. You know, you'd ask them questions and you'd offer something about yourself. When you are disarmed and you say something personal, like I told Sonnet when she was starting to work for me, she's now married, right? When she started working for me, she was dating and then she got engaged. So I said, use that. When you send an email to a supervisor, say, hi, Marie, hope you're having a good weekend. So I just got engaged 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, whatever it was at the time. You have any advice for someone who's about to get married? What do you suggest? And then, anyway, I work at Caps the Moon. Here's a song. Hope you're having a good day. And people would write back and say, oh my God, first of all, don't go to bed angry, or blah, 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 don't spend too much on your honeymoon, save it for your house, whatever it was. And people started to talk to her, So then that was when she got engaged. Then when she got married, I said, tell people, you just got married, and, what do they think about this? And I did this whole thing with my, I was at one point, I'm still thinking about moving out of state next fall, because my book comes out. I'm doing a book tour, and I don't know, I might want to raise my kids. And so I did this whole thing where I was asking people, what city do you love? Where do you think I should move? And people would write back, oh my God, we have a beach house in San Luis Obispo. Oh my God, my parents live on a ranch in Kentucky. Here's a pic. And people were like so excited, so have a conversation, hit send, and do that often.
Awesome. I will do that. And I want to make sure I have his correct email. If I don't, do you recommend IMDb Pro for getting that information, or just tons of research?
I use IMDb Pro to get information for like actors, publicists when I want to have them on my podcast, but I've never used it for a supervisor.
Okay.
So I don't know if IMDb Pro has it. I assume that they might. All of us, by the way, since I'm not really allowed, I would lose my whole career credibility if everyone was like, Cathy Heller gave me all of your email, so I can't do that. But I'm seeing correct emails being put into that Google Doc.
Okay.
I'm seeing that they're correct, a lot of those. So why don't you guys help be like,
I'll put his info on there, and other people have done amazing research, and
you guys should all do it, honestly, because we're only as strong as we are, together, and together we can be way stronger than we are on our own. So I want you guys to continue to add to that Google Doc. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And seriously, so your music is great for getting up the motivation to do this kind of stuff.
Good.
Seriously, it's funny. Someone asked me that in an interview, well, what would we be surprised to know about you? It's like, I make this ethereal music, but I'm listening to all this a lot. I've started listening to a lot more pop music. Anyway, thank you for this really.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, because we had to have that conversation, and we need to keep having that conversation, because I hope that we talked about the map, like you were here and here's where we want to get to. The where you want to get to should include having the confidence and insight into how to be pitching your own stuff to everyone, whether it's a supervisor or an agent, and setting up that team, and also knowing how to push on your own. So that's a conversation that we should keep having, because that should be part of the destination.
And the 50-50 thing is not, I'm kind of feeling a little bit like I haven't heard. I did get a music video, which was awesome. And I love these people. They're juicy and fun, but I don't think that licensing is their main thing. So that's why I really feel like I have got
the non-exclusive part is cool. Okay.
Right. Sweet. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. That was good. I'm glad we talked about that. So let's try to play a couple songs. So Aaron, you just did it. Awesome. I was going to tell you to do that, and then you did it. Aaron Rhodes posted his song in the chat because, hi Aaron, what's up?
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, where are you?
I'm at the Empire State Plaza. It's where I work.
Aww.
It's in New York.
You know the Empire State? It's in New York. Love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Aaron, I'm about to play your song, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Hope you, okay. Thank you.
All right, so here's what I'm doing. I'm going to play it, and I apologize because the sound won't be amazing for you, but I'll listen to the first, 30 seconds, and I will have amazing sound. So don't you worry. So hang on. And then you guys, by the way, he posted in the chat, so you guys can also listen to it at the same time because you're muted, okay? So you guys can listen while I'm listening, and then it doesn't matter if my sound is shitty. Okay. Okay, the song is called Let's Explore.
I think we like to talk a lot, Now where we go, if only we could make the shot. Maybe if we only know how far we go, if we gave it all we got. We're going on a new adventure. I don't wanna stay and pretend, so let's go, let's go, let's go. There's no other way to know what's out there. I think it's time to take a step outside of that door. Outside that door. Before we go, I wanna know wherever we go from here. Your mama's
Okay, so Aaron, let me ask you some questions.
Yes.
First of all, I can tell that you're doing some homework and research because the song is called Let's Explore, and the whole thing is like, where do we go from here, and let's go, and let's step outside.
Right, right.
Tell me what your process was. What were you using as a reference, and what were you wanting to pitch it to?
Okay, so I did a song before this that was like totally inspired by like Stranger Things, and I actually ended up showing it to Nora Felder, and that was a pretty cool experience. But so anyways, I felt like that was a little too dark, and I wanted to do something more commercial-ish. So this was like something, you know, I actually initially wrote the instrumentals with like a video game kind of thing in mind, and then I thought it was like just really put me in a good mood, and I thought maybe I'd do that for other people and work for a commercial somehow, I guess.
That's cool. You got it in front of Nora Felder. You guys, Nora Felder is a great music supervisor.
Yeah.
How did you get it to her?
Oh, well, it wasn't this song. It was a different song that was like darker, but kind of in a similar style, I guess.
Yeah, I said that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, cool. I just actually.
I wanted you to know that I was listening to you. That's why I said that. I was like, no, I got that part. I heard that.
Okay,
so
gotcha. Yep.
How did you get that to her?
I just kind of Googled around, and I found that she worked with Picture Music Company, or that was like her company, and she had contact information. It was like it was a paid consult there, so that's what I did, and she did like it. She actually took it, but and she told me like other direction that she wanted me to, that she would like from me. So I still have yet to follow up with her from that, but yeah, that's one area that I'd like to, go into later. But I thought maybe this one could be a good fit for commercial. But I guess I'd like to know what your thoughts on that are.
Of course, I was about to tell you, but I ask you because this is the process I want everyone to be in. Like, if you're about to write something, then I want you to think about what you're writing it for. And I want to know, in order for me to know, like, again, Ari said this once, like, music supervisors, he said that we shouldn't be asking them, do you think it's good? We should be asking them, what do you think, right? Because it's about, does it fit the project, not is it a good song? So that's why I wanted to know, what was the project you were writing for? So I could guess before you told me that you were writing for ads that it was ads, because it was like Let's Go and all that stuff. What I would say is this. When you listen to, if you were to listen to any 10 songs that have been in the last 10 big brand commercials, whether it's iPad or Target, Nike, whatever it is, they're fast, they're fast. So this song is, I would say, more mid-tempo, like this.
Okay.
It feels, so it feels, if I hear how like the rhythm feels, it feels like it's fast, but there's something about the way that it's sung that it still doesn't feel like it has enough energy. I think because it kind of sounds like 80s-ish, which is kind of fun.
Right.
I like that. But I'm trying to, hang on a second. So a lot of the music feels MIDI, like those strings.
Okay, yeah.
How much of the instrumentation is real?
I mean, I played it all, but it was all on my keyboard. So,
Right. So
yeah,
I feel like sometimes that works, right? For some of it, you know, like for Patty elements, or if you want to make it sound 80s-ish, some of it, but we've got to have something, we've got to have some foundation, whether it's real drums or real guitar or real piano, because you can just tell right away when you're hearing something if it's all synthy, right? And if it's if it's gonna be all synthy, that's fine. It's just got to be amazing. And what I hear that works about this is like the lyrics work, and I hear what you're trying to do when you're like, let's go, right? But then that should be bigger, and maybe I hear what you're going for, but what I would do is I would stack those gang vocals so it sounds like there's 20 people in the room. And I would make the whole thing, like, this is where I think it really helps to double down, triple down on what you're great at and know where to bring someone else in for what they're great at. Like, when I was first starting, if I was trying to produce something myself and sing it and write the melodies and the lyrics, that's actually a really stupid plan for me. Because what we're supposed to do, part of what helps us be successful, we have to really know ourselves, okay? And we have to be honest and say, when I'm really, like, what I hear, there's great lyrics in here, and they don't feel stupid. They feel, they're going on a great adventure. Like, I feel like you dialed it in, you figured it out. And there's something authentic about, you know, you sang it in this kind of 80s way, which doesn't feel cheesy. It kind of feels cool. So what I would say is, if you love being a songwriter, which I think that you do, so double down, triple down, quadruple down, 6x, 12x that, and bring someone else in to produce it so that you can be spending that energy making the songwriting more and more amazing and being inspired by someone else who's there, where their thing is the production. Because what happens is I hear this production and then it stands out to me. It's like seeing a gorgeous girl and she's wearing like a ripped shirt and her hair's all messed up, you know, and it's like, I won't be able to get past it. But if she was naturally beautiful and then she wears something that's really fitted and she has someone blow her hair out, she's going to look like $1 million, right? So who are you working with producing wise, and who could you team up with so that they could take that and run with that and you could be focused on your songwriting? Okay, yeah, that's kind of funny. I did pair up with, first of all, I want to thank you for like pushing us to do co-writes, because that's like, I had a co-write session with Kaylee McCarter, and that went really well, like on just yesterday, last night actually. So, but she's doing, well, I guess we're still working on the song, but we're planning on, like, she do vocals, I do some vocals, and she was going to get like an authentic kick drum in there, but then I guess I was going to produce it, so maybe we'll have to see if we can find someone or something, I don't know, or I could take your feedback. I mean, I think I know what you're talking about with like the, I did add some more layers in some other places, but I thought, so, I mean, it's good to get your feedback. Like, I think that maybe it wasn't like as much as it could have been. No, like what I hear is, I hear the ideas scratched down. Like, I feel like you did a bunch of stuff and you said there should be like a let's go, meaning the words let's go, and also sort of like a group vocal. And then some of the lyrics, it feels like you did some of your research and you kind of sketched out a blueprint, right? But then if you want it to be sort of exactly what you're hearing in your head, then it's going to have to sound not like a demo or something. It's going to have to sound like amazing. You know, amazing producers. So, what I would suggest that everybody does before you, and everybody, not just you, this is across the board, before you're pitching stuff to me to listen to, use the group. And what I would love for you guys to do is ask people, honestly, because you want to get the most out of this. Here's what I'm writing. Here's what my target was. This was what I was hoping for, this show or this sound. And here's my reference. And then I want you guys, you, the person who's posting, as well as everyone else, I want you to A-B what you're writing against what you're writing it for and what reference it is. What's the same and what's not the same? Because we need to analyze it. We need to really listen and say, okay, well, this song just has a totally, you know, the groove is so tight. Or listen to the instruments that they're using. You know, how can I compete if everything's with the synthesizer? How can I compete and give it that same dynamic? If you want, at the end of the day, most commercials are going to do cut of images. So people are either going to be dancing, or there's going to be footage of something like a camera sweeping down onto like blades of grass and people running. It's going to be like intense, awesome, high-end visual stuff, HD to the max. So the sound has to be crazy. It has to be awesome. It has to be clear. It has to sound like there's a lot of heart and soul and authenticity and energy coming out of it. So if it's all going to be synths, whatever it is, even if it's not synths, I want you guys to start A-Bing what you're doing against it. So with this, that's what I would say. And I would listen to songs that have that same theme. Do you know other songs that have like the let's go, let's explore theme that you were thinking about and listening to inspire you?
I mean, I think I just kind of hear it all over the place. I mean, I saw there was one on your guys' site with the shoe commercial. There's another song I'm thinking of. I don't know the name of it offhand, but
So see, this is great because I get you. I feel this. So there's a song by the Cults called Go Outside. I really want to go out, right? So it's purposely like slow and slick and sexy. It was in an iPad commercial. So had you heard that song, you could have then like directed the vibe of energy and been inspired by sort of what they did with that, how they laid that out. Everything has already been done, guys, right? So it's a matter of like, these supervisors, these directors, they've already shown you 16,000 times what they choose. So if it was me, I would want to be able to turn around and answer and say, yeah, the 3 songs that I love that have this theme that already worked for this ad and this show are these. And so I was listening to Matt and Kim, and I was listening to what so-and-so was doing. Because what do you think producers do? They study stuff, right? And that's what songwriters do also. When Carol was writing all those hits, she was being told by her publisher to listen to all those other bands that were coming up in the 60s. That's just what people do. We study what's working, and we get inspired by that. And we really start to break it down. What instruments are the Beatles using? You know, if that was the thing you're studying. And where do those harmonies come in? Is it the whole song? Is it part of the song? So we really want to listen to that stuff and analyze that stuff. And that's what I'm saying. Where'd you go, Aaron? Sorry, there you are.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, no, awesome. See, I love this. And I'm going to try to like ask you these questions because I'm trying to use the time to help everybody. And I think these are questions that this is what's going to help us sort of map out how to get the same result no matter what we're writing. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
All right.
So,
well, thank you. I hope you had a great time on the rest of your vacation as well.
Nice. Thank you.
All right.
Okay. So I'm going to play. Let me just see. Where's my little list? Hang on. Okay. Just looking. Okay. Bree, I'm going to play your song. It's called You Are the One. Let me see. Where is Bree? Bree, I'm looking for you. Is Bree still on here? Hi, is she on here? Wait, where is she? Wait, Brianne, unmute. Hi, Brianne.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, okay. So you guys, because we went into like kind of all these other Q&A topics and everything, and only because this won't be this way next month. Next month, my 3 kids. Well, not the baby, but the older 2, the 5-year-old and the 4-year-old, they'll be back in school starting actually next week. But today I'm going to have to cut it short because they're all here like waiting for me, and it's summer, and the rest of the year you're going to get longer sessions. But I mean, it's still, we'll still have been on for an hour and a half, but I guess an hour and a half is what it will be anyway. So it's not like it'll be longer, but I think what we're going to do is we're going to try to figure out how much of this should be Q&A and how much of it should be listening to stuff, because I personally think that what we did today, what we covered today was really important. And I also think that listening to a couple songs, even if we only listen to a couple, I think that you're getting a lot out of that, because I'm going to use each one as sort of like a case study. And what I'd like to see happen is I'd like you guys to be posting things in the group, like I said to Aaron, with your reference and what you were A-Bing your song against, and asking people what they hear, because more and more it's going to start to become obvious, you know, what it is that's not there and what it is that's on target. Okay, so we're going to play Bree's song, and then I'm going to go into mom mode since my kids are home for the summer still. Okay, let me play this.
Let's show all the world the meaning of love, what it's like to be happy. Come take my hand through another land where there's no one but you and me. Let's run away and let's dance all through the night, and we'll take a plane and we'll fly up to the sky. 'Cause you are the one, you are the one, you are the one for me. Let's go get lost for a while, let's walk together, just you and me.
Okay, so Bree, where are you? Can you hear me?
I'm here. Yes.
Okay, so tell me, what did you write this song for?
Well, I was thinking, actually, when I first wrote it, it was really about a real life experience, about a relationship. But then I was thinking it might be good for commercials because it's not too specific. Like, I thought maybe the words could kind of apply to like any sort of brand name, like Pepsi or something, you know, you are the one. So.
Yeah. Okay, so have you heard this style of song in ads, and which one have you heard it in?
You know, I've listened to a lot of artists that have their music in ads, but I don't know if I could pinpoint.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So if I went through a list in my head of like Mozilla and Katie Herzig and Tim Myers and Matt and Kim and Miko, so I'm trying to think of where I would pinpoint this style. Like this style, like the musicality of it is kind of like jazzy, right?
Okay.
I wouldn't say that it's like current. Your voice is pretty, and the melody's nice. The song sounds romantic to me. Let's go for a walk, da 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 da, da 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 da. And the melody and the rhythm feels a little bit 80s to me. Ba ba da 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 da. Do 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 do. I mean, it's very like, and it's very jazzy, you know. So what you're hearing today in ads is music that's like crisp and current, and the production is like a little more choppy and groove. It's like in the groove, in the pocket. And when you make playlists, like I'm telling you guys to do, your other assignment for next time, you have 2. One is start posting examples of these themes, actual examples, so that you guys will have this shared Google Doc. You can just spend days going boom, boom, listening, watching real life examples of songs that are used in these brands and these shows that show you these themes. And then your other assignment is you should all make playlists either on Spotify or buy 20 songs on iTunes that you've heard. These are songs not that you're just going to buy, songs you're buying because you've done the research and found these songs in ads. Because the more you drive in your car, go to the gym, whatever you're doing, washing dishes, and you're listening to these songs, you would know, just like me, it's an objective reality. It's not something I'm saying. You would know that this song has a nice melody, this girl has a nice voice, and this song doesn't sound like those songs. Not because it's not a sweet melody or it's a good song, just because the entire vibe production-wise is different. And as far as the lyric go, we would want to make sure that song sounded platonic. We would want to make sure that it's like, you know, this song, I'll Be By Your Side, you know, it was like when nothing's making sense and you need a friend, I'll be by your side. That's my song, right? That's the song I just made $36,000. So it's very clearly like, Randy Newman, you've got a friend in me. Like, that was the goal. That was the goal. And what I will do is I will listen to stuff. And then if I'm writing on a theme on, let's say, you know, friendship, I'll pull up the lyrics, because you can get these. This is the beauty of 2017. I'll pull up on my desktop windows of lyrics of like the most iconic friendship songs since the beginning of time. And I'll just read them. I'll just read through them. And I'll be like, what is it that he or she in all these songs, how are they getting to it so clearly, so succinctly? And then I'll shut the computer and I'll say, how do I want to say that? And it actually becomes so easy. The more specific and clear you are, it's easier to write. So when you're like, I want to write a friendship song, I want to write it for Pepsi Cola. What are the last few songs that they've used? Who are those artists? Let me listen. And if this is my theme, what are the songs in the past that have really communicated this theme clearly? Because this is what I'm saying. The reason why I want to listen to a few songs in these sessions and then I want to answer your questions is a few things. Number one, you don't get to see me that often like this. And we have a lot of stuff to cover. And there's a lot of things I want to share with you. And number two, instead of spending time listening to 10 or 20 songs that aren't yet the end of the road, right? They're not like the songs that you've written at the end of the class. They're the songs now. I'd rather use a few and keep directing you, because I want you guys to get in a habit so that when you start to play me the songs, you know exactly what you wrote it for. You've already listened to the references, and you know, because again, we're writing for sync. We're writing for someone else. We're writing a song that we're going to love writing that's going to be something someone's going to pay us for. So clearly, you know how to write a melody. You have a great voice. So you could do it. It's just a matter of directing it a little bit differently. The main thing is the production. Melody, no problem. Lyrics, I would change. I would make them, and again, I wouldn't change it. I'd leave this song as it is. I would write something new. But again, focusing the energy of the lyric on being, if you want it to be romantic, great. If you want it to be both, I would say don't, because we don't want to have a situation where we are hoping that people can take what we're doing and tweak it and change. Think of it this way. If somebody is being sent 1,000 songs every single day, and they have a team of people listening through and then handing them the best 20 every single day in every genre, you're competing with that. So we don't want to say, well, I mean, they could just cut that 5, then they could use this. It's like, they're not going to do that because they already have so much to choose from. They're going to give themselves less work. So we want to think about what do they need and how do we and this is what's so helpful, you guys, because this is a group of songwriters that are committed, talented, and you see the sweetness in Bree and in Aaron, and you see the talent, right? You can hear there's like a vocal that's good, there's a lyric that's good. It's just not all coming together. This is actually what's going to give you guys hope and certainty that you're going to get there, because most artists are not in this class. And most artists, like there's always a bell curve, just like if you're in any kind of class, there's always like, this, and then this people, and these people actually have talent. So of the people who actually have talent, which is not even the whole thing, it's like a smidgen, most of them won't be in this class or even think about this, even if you're outside of the class, how to do this. So you're competing. Most of the music that's coming through is just artists, you know, just kind of, but of the artists that are really good who are thinking this way, even though it's a small sliver of the entire musician world out there in the universe, of the ones that are good, that are submitting, there's a lot of good stuff in there, right? But I'm saying if you compare yourself to musicians in the universe, you're way, way, way ahead. Does that make sense? So I want you guys, you guys have 2 assignments, okay? I want you guys to post the songs, and I want you to post and you know what? I'll hop on the Facebook page. The 8 of you who also signed up, you want to hear the songs, post in the Facebook page, and I'm going to come on and listen. I'm going to comment. So at least you'll know that I'm going to hear those. Post in the Facebook group what you wrote it for, what your references were, and then I'm going to comment underneath each of those 8 songs, and I'm going to tell you what I think of them. And then going forward for next month, I want you guys to do 2 things. First of all, keep up that co-writing, because you want to have 12 songs at least at the end of this course, if not 24 or 36. So keep that up. The other thing is Sonnet will post a link to a Google Doc. I want you guys to continue to add to that Google Doc actual examples of themes that you found and examples of the YouTube clips of things that you found that have those themes. And then the second assignment, make a Spotify list or download the songs from iTunes. And I want you guys to share those lists with everybody, because we can, again, start to, as a group, help one another so much by, oh, this person found this song and I didn't even find that ad. But we need to really start acquainting ourselves with these songs. All right. So I hope that this session was good for you guys. I really enjoyed it. I thought it's just amazing how everyone struggles with the same big things. There's always the same few things that actually make it work, whatever the career is, whatever the path, whatever the thing is. So I think we covered a lot of good stuff. I love Nico's question. I love about the emails. I like that we talked about, all different sides of this today. So Sonnet will post about the Google Doc. I'm so glad you're saying you thought it was valuable. Thank you, Scott. Thank you guys for posting in the chat. Thank you. Thank you, Ricky. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, guys. Okay, so I will post, also Sonnet will post this recording so you can go back and watch it. I look forward to seeing you guys posting your songs over the next month. And I'll see you guys soon. Keep going. We're going to get there. All right, talk to you later. Bye.